Thank you everyone for coming. Just to get us started. So I'm Angelica, the director at the Montclair History Center. We are so thrilled to welcome Charles Brady with us tonight. As many of you know on here, Charles was a former Catholic priest serving on parishes in Montclair as well as in Orange from 1966 through 1973. Charles was also really closely involved with youth sports programs in Montclair and Orange, as well as establishing with the Soul Stompers drill team. So we have some representatives here from that tonight. And, Charles really worked tirelessly in the community for equal justice for all. And by the time he was ordained in priesthood, he had become a close friend of Dr. Martin Luther King and his wife, Coretta. So we're really excited to hear his memories, his stories about growing up in Montclair. Tonight, our Board of Trustee member, Donato Di Geronimo, is going to be leading the discussion with Charles. I'm going to be in the background doing my best to share some images and videos as conversations come up. So I apologize if my stop screen share and restart screen share is disruptive at times. But as I do that, you might want to put on the speaker view. It might be easier. You'll see Charles and Donato pop up more easily when they're talking while we're looking at some images. Please use the chat. We're definitely going to allow time at the end for everyone to unmute, catch up, chat at the end. So please do that as well. And if you are more than 20 miles or more than one person, put that in the chat for us as well. We love to know that for our records. So at this point, I'm going to turn it over to Donato to get us started, and everyone enjoy. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. I was graduated at Montclair High School in 1966. I went to school with Ellsworth and Immaculate before that. But Father Brady was sent to St. Peter Claver. I believe it was 65. Is that correct, Father Brady?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm gonna start by asking him, what is your background? You grew up in West Orange. Tell us more about that.
Yeah, I grew up in a prejudice area. They say prejudice is taught. It's not, you're not born with it. And I was taught it. I remember being at a swimming pool, Crystal Lake swimming pool at the entrance. And a lady had just walked up the Eagle Rock Mountain, which back then was 2,000 feet up, with her children. And they wouldn't let her in the pool. They told her it was a club. And I went home and told my parents, and I thought it was funny. So that's where I've come from. In the seminary, I remember laughing at kids being blasted against the wall with fire hoses in my first year in the seminary. But then I met Bill Linder. Donato knows Bill. He was a priest down in Newark in the riot area. They actually faced some of the state troopers in the riot to keep them from shooting.
I just want to mention Monsignor Linder. It's worth going back and Googling him. He did a lot of things helping to rebuild Newark. And talking about the riots, I mean, some people think of it as an insurrection or a rebellion. So I mean, it's taken on different things for different people. But it was a bad time, kind of going against the corruption in Newark at the time. But go ahead.
Yeah. So Bill gave me Martin Luther King's letter from the Birmingham jail. Everybody should read that letter. It completely changed me. Why you're telling us to wait? Why should we wait when we see grandmothers hanging from trees by their neck? We see little kids. I can't take my little kids to the park because they're not allowed in the park. And I just read it and I said, wow, I'm wrong. And then I got to know Coretta King and Martin Luther King. I was in the last year in the seminary, and Selma, actually it was the week before Selma, was the week before Selma was the Bloody Sunday, where they went over the bridge. Martin wasn't with them. They went over the bridge, and the cops beat the crap out of them, the state troopers, and they went back over the bridge, and then they were deciding whether to go over it again, and they were afraid to go over it. And I was in the last year of the seminary. I asked permission to go, and they wouldn't let me out of the seminary, which you couldn't in those days. You were there, and they wouldn't let me out. And I sat down and I wrote Coretta King a letter, uh, just exposing my views about the whole thing. And I felt that if they didn't go back over that bridge, the civil rights movement would be jeopardized and might be over. And I told them that we would be praying to all the members. There were like 300 members of the seminary, and the priests would be praying at the time that they were going over the bridge. And 2 weeks later, she sent me a beautiful letter, which somebody stole in the back of the church. But a beautiful letter saying that I read your letter and I cried. She said I took the letter to my husband, who was deep in prayer, praying whether he should go over that bridge or not. And he read the letter. He said, "We're going over that bridge." And in her letter to me, she said, she said that we stopped on the bridge and read your letter, and gave us the courage to finish going over that bridge where we knew we were probably going to get beat up.
Mm.
That's how we became close friends. And she heard that I was going to be in. We were communicating then that I was going to be in North Carolina working in a parish volunteer for a summer. And she said, "Why don't you come down, have lunch with us?" And I said, "Yeah, I'll come down."
That was in Atlanta, right? You visited them in Atlanta on the way to New Bern, North Carolina.
New Bern, yes.
Yes.
Yeah, we confronted a lot of prejudice in New Bern. That was the county seat of the Ku Klux Klan. The police followed us on the wrong side of the street everywhere we went. A house was blown up that members of the Ford Association stayed at, and they were working with kids too in the area. And the Ku Klux Klan blew that house up. I had been to the house right before it, and fortunately I wasn't there. But then we went down. We visited the King family. The kids were babies, and had a wonderful lunch with them. And she was just the sweetest person. And she talked about what it was like to be the wife of Martin Luther King at that time. And at that time, they were educating the children to be ready for his death because they knew he was going to die. So that's our friendship. We really became close friends. And then I got a letter from her. We contacted her who Donato was going to bring it up later, but we were stoned. Me and priests and nuns were stoned in Newark by the Anthony and Beverly Alley Association. And but in her letter, she said it sounded like the Deep South. And she said, "Please keep doing what you're doing because you're divinely inspired." I always remembered that. And I kept doing what I was doing. We had demonstrations all over the place. And Martin Luther King Sr., I was answering the phones at Martin Luther King's funeral all night long. And he came in at 7 a.m. He said, "You've been up all night answering the phones." He said, "I'd like you to come back and say a prayer over my son behind the altar." He wasn't out yet. And while we were walking back, he said, what changed the entire civil rights movement was Catholic priests and nuns, Protestant priests and nuns or whatever, rabbis came out with us, and they saw that this was a Christian, Judeo-Christian thing, not a black-white thing. And everything that I did, I went to the white community and made sure they knew what was going on. And what I found out is most of them didn't. And a lot of them joined us in the demonstrations. They came and they fed us down at Glenfield School where we slept in because they took our Head Start class programs away.
Okay, I want to go backwards a little bit. In 1964, you were assigned while you're still in seminary to a Holy Spirit Church in Orange. That was just for a summer, I guess, or?
Yes, it was for a summer.
And then
I went to, right before my ordination, I went to the person running the seminary and asked to be assigned to a black parish. That's how much I had changed.
Wow. Okay, so you were ordained in May of '66, And
Yeah.
first mass, Our Lady of Lourdes, which was maybe your home parish in West Orange,
Yes,
and then you were assigned. Where were you assigned after that?
I was assigned to Holy Spirit and St. Peter Claver.
And you were living in the rectory at Holy Spirit though the whole time.
I lived at, yeah, in the rectory.
Okay, go ahead. Tell us a little bit about that.
Okay, in '64, I was assigned to a Bible school in the summer, and those kids just won me over. I fell in love with them. There were like 100 kids who went twice a week to bus trips to lakes, and we did acquire did acquire. We got into some kind of problems with. But it just won, everything won me over. I wanted to be there, and I was ordained a priest, and I was assigned to those two parishes, and mostly St. Peter, mostly Holy Spirit at first, and then Father Sullivan. I was on the the board of directors of the personnel committee, and I got Father Sullivan assigned to us. And he had also requested to go to a black parish. So he took over everything at Holy Spirit, where we had a gym, and we had already won a county championship. And
That's in
I
that's in CYO, correct?
CYO, yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
All right. So after you were ordained, you have the heading of the chapters. You wanted to save the world at that point. That's what you were. That's how you felt. And
Yes.
then there was a question that came up at St. Peter Claver when you were there: is why is Jesus Christ black on the
Yeah, that would always come up. Yeah, the statue.
and why is that?
Because that's what color he was when you think of it.
That's where, yeah, I'm sure.
Most white people see the movies with the blonde hair, 6 foot blonde hair, blue eyed guy that's supposed to be Jesus. And that's how I grew up.
So when you got to St. Peter Claver, you noticed that the kids playing in the parking lot, and tell us a little bit about your first thoughts about the parking lot there.
Okay, go to the parking lot. There's a couple of things. I met the kids and they were great. It's the same as Holy Spirit. They come over, they all hugged and kissed me. And I happened to spot, at that time, I was taking karate lessons. And I spotted 3 bricks over by the church. And I said, "You want to see me break those bricks?" And they said, "Yeah, yeah, yeah." So I put one on top of 2 and broke the brick. And it's spread all over Montclair. Don't mess with Father Brady. Don't mess with the new priest. He breaks bricks. But the parking lot was 1/3 full of garbage and trees. And people came in the parking lot and just dumped all this stuff. And the first thing I saw was a basketball court. So I was out in my first few weeks just cleaning up the garbage. And I got a friend of mine to take the trees away. And I had my first experience with the prejudice courts was a young man, 14 years old, came and he helped me every single day. And his mother called me, who was a wonderful person. And she said she was crying. And this kid had seen a brand new sports car and took it for a ride and got caught. So he was going to court, and I went with him and his mother, and I told the judge about him cleaning the garbage up for me and all, and I said, please assign him to me. I'll take care of him. Excuse me. I'll make sure he never gets in trouble again. And the judge looked at him and said, young man, you have to be punished. You stole a car. And he was put in Jamesburg for 13 months, which was, it was called a school, Jamesburg School. It wasn't a school. They had no classes for 13 months. And he was with the worst criminal kids in the state of New Jersey during that time. He came out, thank God he was good. But I went down there. A friend of mine was at guard, and he's got me in there so I could go in and see this kid. and a fight broke out. It had to be 20 girls fighting. I mean, fist fighting, and the guards were just watching them. Just that's how bad this place was. And I always said there's two people that are friends of mine. One was the head of the Senate. I don't want to say names, and the other was a Superior Court judge. They both were stealing cars when they were kids, taking them for rides, taking them up into the Llewellyn Park, which is all millionaires. Thomas Edison lived there. And had they been black, they would have gone to Jamesburg, and they would not have become prominent young men like they became. So, it was a lesson.
So
My first football team.
Go ahead. Let me ask you a question first. Let's start with you started the CYO with Clint Taylor and Jerry Jones.
With who?
Jerry Jones and Clint Taylor. You had an idea to start the CYO, and you asked Clint Taylor to help you.
Yes. I had so much help. I'm very bad on names. I always was.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I have a list of the names that you put in the book.
Yeah.
Some of them are on here now, but
There's
I'll
a classmate. There's Ellsworth Corum, right? Can you see him? He was your friend in high school.
Yeah, there's the football team, and I think there's Norman Mitchell, Ellsworth Corum, and I think Jimmy Eason is in there somewhere.
Yeah. Jimmy Eason's there. Yeah.
Yeah. But you also had help from Donald Laverne Clifton, Ronald Murphy.
Oh yeah.
The Spivies, Aubrey Lewis, Wally Choice. You had a lot of old prominent Montclair names that
I couldn't have done what I did without all of these people you're naming. Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to ask for some of them their opinions on this in a little while. But let's get through what we want to do. You started the CYO track team, football team, and what else? Basketball.
So
Basketball. That's right. How did I forget that?
Basketball. Yeah.
Right. So tell us a little bit about the CYO in Montclair then.
Well, it was a place that there was nothing going on down the bottom end of Montclair. Glenfield's Park was empty. There was nobody in it. It was before the black. What was the Black Union that started all the programs down there? I can't think of their name. Wally Choice was the leader of the. But nothing was going on. I went to Clint Taylor. I heard that he was coaching in rich kids in Nutley. Clint was the most wonderful person I ever met in my life. And I knocked on his door. I said, "You have to help us." I said, "You're an Uncle Tom. You're working in Nutley with kids, and our kids have never seen the ocean. The park is empty." And he slammed the door. He said, "Get the F out of here." He slammed the door, and I put my foot in the door, pushed my way in, sat down on the couch, and said, sit down. And we talked, and he says, "I got to join you. We're gonna do it." And we did. He's the one who's coached the track team. He coached a lot of stuff, but he's the one who got all these people I didn't know. So he's the one who brought them all in. He deserves all the credit in the world.
Yeah, but you seemed like you had a lot of help from the community at that point.
There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, and then all right, we're gonna go. Then John Anderson, you talk about him starting a track team with him, and then him going to St. Benedict's.
John Anderson started the track team. Yeah, he asked me if he could start it. He's a great athlete. We're at a CYO meeting, and I was in the office. I come out of the office. He said, "Come on, old man, you want to wrestle?" And I came in second in the state in wrestling. He didn't know that. I mean, I threw him all over the floor. It's in the book. We're still good friends too. But he ran the track team. Mila DeLoach complained that it was all boys, and before it got to the first championship, county championship, he made her run against John and everybody. And she beat everybody except John, and he put her on the track team. And so then it was boys and girls, and they won their first county tournament. And they won 23 more in all sports
Yeah, yeah,
in 8
the
years.
success was phenomenal, but that goes back to Montclair. Well, Montclair and Orange, I guess. They had some great teams and everything, really, basketball and football and
Bobby Haynes ran my first team in the great baseball and football player in Montclair.
yeah,
He ran my first team in Orange before I started working in St. Peter Claver, and he won the county championship with that team.
that's great. And then so now we came to the 1967, and there was a lot of stuff happening in 1967, the Newark insurrection, rebellion, riot, whatever.
Mhm.
And that hit home with you with one of the Montclair kids being killed, Billy Furr.
Pardon?
In the Newark riots, a Montclair young man from Montclair was killed in that. You talk about that in your book, Billy Furr. We'll go on with that. I know your names, but in 1967, you were invited by Martin Luther King to the Southern Christian Leadership Conference.
Yeah.
You want to talk about that a little bit?
Sure. That's where I have the picture on the front of my book.
Yeah.
Me and Coretta and Martin outside his church. That's where I met his father. I met a lot of the leaders of the civil rights movement. I have a picture of Rosa Parks here someplace. Here's Martin speaking. There's the front of his church. I think that's Rosa Parks down there. I'm pretty sure you can't see it. That's her. That's Rosa Parks outside Martin Luther King's church. But that's where I really got involved with them. And Coretta, after one of the meetings, said, "I'm going to take my children to the pool, the local pool. Would you like to come?" I said, "Sure." So she and I sat there at the pool, and the kids were swimming. Now they were young. I'm not even sure the youngest was born. And she told me what she was going through. She said, "I'm going all over Atlanta trying to collect everything that he owned, that he gave away, because I know he's going to get killed. I'm getting my children ready for that, the fact that he's going to get killed." And she had tears in her eyes. And, I'm sitting talking to Martin Luther King's wife, and, what do you say? This, it was something I can picture today and I'll never forget. And she was a wonderful woman.
And you were at the funeral. I want to talk about that. That's where you spoke with his
Yeah,
father.
I noticed there was nobody answering the phone at night. So I started answering the phone. I stayed up all night. I had no place to sleep anyway, but I stayed up all night answering the phone. People didn't know where this was and what it was, and just helping people. And that's when Daddy King, Martin Luther King's father, came in, and he told me that the priests and nuns changed the civil rights movement, and rabbis, because people realized this is a Christian thing that they had to get involved in. And then he took me behind the altar where Dr. King was laid out. He wasn't in public yet. And I prayed over him. And he said, "Would you like to take a picture?" I can't find that picture, unfortunately. There was, it's disputed on which, there's two pictures of Dr. King in the coffin, and they're different. And the clothes he's wearing are a little bit different. And I had an original picture, but it's gone. I've looked all over. I just can't find it. I wish I could.
So that was in April of 1968. But soon after that, you start your book with the rally in May of '68 at Vailsburg High School with Tony Imperial. He was the speaker. And if you want to talk about that now.
Yeah, Anthony was he was hardcore. I have no doubt he was making a lot of money on this, but he had a tank and he had a marching army dressed in uniforms, in battle uniforms. And I got a call from Father Maloney, who was with Father Linder down in Newark in the riot area. He said, "We're going to hear him speak. He's speaking at Dalesburg High School." outside. Would you like to come? I said, I'd love to come. I'd love to hear, because, yeah, he was just inciting riots. And we were standing there, and at the end of it, all of a sudden, the crowd turned on us. And I mean, they were spitting at us, and they're priests and nuns, you know, they didn't care, and they're probably Catholic. They're at Dillsburg High School, but they're spitting, they're calling us nigger lovers, and you know, we're gonna kill you. And then we looked off to the side, and here's Mel Knight, basketball star, and the president of the senior class at Seton Hall University, and with two other guys, and they're in dashikis and the Afro-American hair and all, and all of a sudden the crowd is on them, and they're pushing them, and they've really got them surrounded. We went and stood around them, and finally the cops had to get us out. The one cop said to me, "Come on, Father, you got to get out of here because they're going to kill you." Mm-hmm. We got out to the side, and we got on the steps of a porch, and I rang the doorbell, and the lady told us to get the F out of there. And they started bombarding us with bricks, and none was cut. Her clothes were ripped. One of the black kids was cut, and they finally got a paddy wagon in to get us out of there. And one of the stupid things I did, there were many of them, but the crowd was coming. They were trying to get us, and the cops were pushing them back. And excuse me, I'm nervous, but I'll be 88 in 2 weeks, so that's why I'm nervous. But it's all coming back.
You're doing great. Just keep
I'm living this again. That's
what's happening,
which I thank all of you for, because you guys were great to me then, and you still are. But I stood up in the back of the paddy wagon on the bumper, and I blessed the people, and I said, "May Almighty God bless you in the name of the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit, and may He forgive you." And then they went nuts, and the cop grabbed me and threw me in the paddy wagon. So we went before the court of New Jersey, and they said that the reason for the problems in Newark at Vailsburg was the priests and nuns who were causing the trouble. And we're doing standing there. Yeah.
That was in the grand jury testimony to see if they were going to indict them somebody for harassing you, and that nothing happened at that point.
Nothing happened.
Right.
The cop, I think it was Sabina, he passed a ruling that no cops can join the Imperiale Association. He never brought together that many people again because of this. So we accomplished something.
You encountered him again also in Orange the same year, later in the same year.
Yeah.
When they were, I guess there was pressure to build a new school in Orange because the old school building was falling apart.
It was falling apart. It was almost all black. In fact, the white kids were going to Catholic schools, and the town turned down building or fixing that high school. They voted against it, and the majority of the councilmen, and the state board of education demanded that the town build a new high school, or they would take the town money away, and they still voted it down. We got word that, I can't think of the black minister's name, well known, did a lot of good, but that he was getting together a demonstration. It was going to be all black, and I said, there's going to be problems in this town. The town was corrupt. I mean, 43 people, including the police chief and the mayor, were subpoenaed by the Superior Court. And again, nothing happened to them, but they were subpoenaed because the county prosecutor's office accused them of corruption, and it was true what was going on. And that's when they went to the, I got in the pulp. I went to the Board of Education, but I also went to uh, the all white societies, the merchant societies, and all the other ones, and got them on our side. They actually formed a committee defending us, and we had demonstrations uh, from my church and other churches, and then we had a meeting at the middle school, I think it was, but it was packed, and it was mostly people in white and black in favor of the new high school. And at that time, it was very interesting because I wasn't liked by a lot of black militants in Newark because of what I was doing. But I noticed the whole time that there were huge black guys with the dashikis and the afros and all around me all night long. It turned out that the poet laureate, what's his name?
Leroy Jones at the
Yeah,
time.
yes.
Mary Braca.
He had assigned a group of black militants to protect me from, because I had several attempts on my life that the cops denied.
Well, I mean, I know that you felt like your life was in danger, even walking around a home in Orange at that time.
I had a lot of people come up to me and thank me for what I was doing. Excuse me. And so I was late leaving the meeting, and I had to walk the whole length of Orange by myself down the street. And here I had all kinds of violent promises to kill me. And I'm thinking, boy, this is nuts. But I made it anyway. I guess they didn't recognize me. I don't know. But I did make it.
Okay, so let's return to Montclair. Montclair had, Montclair's known for its diversity, but as we all know, there was always issues around race in Montclair throughout its history. And some of that was manifested around Glenfield School earlier, before you got there, when they were protesting about old books and not having the best teachers. So that precluded the busing ordered by the court. But you got there kind of after that, and then there were some issues in Montclair around the guidance counselors in 67 and 68, and we could have Tippy talk to that later. But what happened then? Because that was when the Black Student Union was formed, and I guess that was 68. Tip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have a good memory, better than mine.
Okay, go ahead.
Glad you're here.
Yeah, talk a little bit about that. How you advocated at the Board of Ed.
The president of my CYI came into me crying, and I said, "What's the matter?" She was tough. She said, "I don't have senior English. I signed up for it. I don't have it. They said it's full. I can't get it. I can't graduate from Montclair High School this year." I said, "This is something wrong." She said, "This is happening to all the blacks." So I called a meeting of all the blacks and their parents, and the kids spoke about what was going on, and it was like brutal. And so I went up and I met with the head of guidance. And when I came out the door after meeting, this is going to change and all this, it wasn't. When I come out the door, here's Tip and the Black Student Union standing outside the door protesting. And this is on, I can't think of the name of it. It's on, you can get it on, I can't think of the name of it. It's not that important anyway. But that's when they started the Black Student Union, legally organized Black Student Union, the first one in the country. And they sat in. I didn't know about it. They sat in the forum or wherever it is. Tip knows. Tell them about it, Tip.
Tippy, join in, Tip, unmute yourself, Glenn.
Can't hear you.
There's a way. Glenn, unmute yourself. I want to hear what you have to say. Can you do it? No. Jimmy Eason,
Yeah, I'm trying to tell him. Murphy.
what?
Ron, they went down to Ron Murphy's store.
Oh, okay. Ronald Murphy store. That's where they started.
Yeah, but let Glenn tell you more because he was a part of it. Glenn, you're muted.
Hmm?
Glenn is talking. Well, the three major starting the Black Student Union were Glenn Davis, Lawrence Porky Rainey, and Harold Montague.
Right. They were great.
Glenn can speak to that later. Go ahead when we figure out how to unmute him. I think we're muting him because he talks a lot anyway. So we know that. So.
All right, I'm unmuted now. I got it.
Well, tell us a little bit about the Black Student Union. How did that start?
Okay, what happened was the Black Student Union started at the end of 1968. Ronald Dednam Atari, Harvey Miller, Buster Soares, myself, Johnny McGill. You know, there's a picture of the four of them, but actually we were all there. And we decided that we wanted to have some kind of equal justice because the guidance counselors there were trying to tell us that we needed to like go to Bloomfield Tech, learn a skill because none of us had enough intelligence to really make it to college. We didn't have the right upbringing and the right background. So therefore we started that. And like I said, we were the first charter of first BSU in the country. And what had made it easy for us that we had Imam Baraka, a brother from East Orange named Belozi Zaid Muhammad, and of course, Ron Karenga from the West Coast. So those were our leaders. And so it gave us a lot of direction. And also they were men who were mentors and were able to tell us how to do it correctly. Then we had what Father Brady had alluded to earlier, grassroots, Wally Choice, Norman Mitchell, and all those guys, and they worked with us. And then that's, like I said, so we had that kind of background. But anyway, we had, I don't know if many people even noticed, we had something called Sidewalk University. It was a school for people who were having problems with school, and it was on Hartley Street. And this is just before, September 68. And so we were tutoring young men who were coming into school. We had a program called Each One Teach One when they came. So what we did, we targeted a lot of young brothers, Philip Whitehead, Casey Carter, my cousin, a bunch of guys that basically would have just been pushed out of school. And so we worked with them. And the reason why we had an issue was they said, okay, if we're a student union, then we had to be open to having white members. So what happened was Dr. Fish told us that we were not going to be able to continue with the BSU. And what I did, there's a friend of mine, John Blumberg, who made the H. Rap Brown t-shirts for us. So we did have a white member. So the next day we went to a pep rally and we were yelling, Ungal Black Power. And we're at a pep rally where you're supposed to scream, yell, all kinds of stuff. And they sent telegraphs to Lawrence's house, my house, Porgy's house, and we got suspended indefinitely, but on from school. So what happened? The kids heard and they started rioting. On the second day of the riot, they called me and asked me to come back to school, and that's when we had to stand off in the cafeteria. And then after that, like I said, we went inside and we sent all the girls home. And like I said, the police came up. Essex County, Bloomfield, Montclair.
West Orange police came in double fatigues.
Yeah, I mean, they came and they were ready to put something on us, and then so fortunately we were able to get out of there without a problem. But like I said, I never saw so much hatred in my life, and we weren't being violent. We just wanted classes. We wanted African American history. Mm-hmm. We wanted to be able to take college courses because they had a track system 1, 2, and 3. If you're in a 1 track system, you're able to go to college. 2 is a possibility, but 3 was basically meant for guys from the 4th Ward, the Hollow, Forest Street, and those areas. And so we just wanted everybody to be able to be exposed to all the curriculums, especially going to college.
So Father Brady came to support you, and where was that?
That was at a board educating meeting. And matter of fact, I think we probably have the record for the most people that ever came to a board meeting, because there was over 700 people there.
Wow.
And there were very few people in there that liked us.
Wow.
And that was all being covered by the local news. I remember
Oh, yeah.
all the television cameras being there. Father
Yeah.
Brady, want to speak to that? What talk about that a little bit, Charles?
Is he muted?
He frozen?
The meeting, again, from what I learned from Dr. Martin Luther King's father, I always wanted to reach the white community. Most of the white people, like Upper Montclair, didn't know what was going on. A lot of blacks didn't even know what was going on. The head of my CYO, as I said, came to me crying because she couldn't get the subject she wanted. People who want to be doctors, they couldn't even get in college. Delma Wormley, the whole Wormley family was on the Soul Stoppers, and the mother was a director. And Delma was told, don't try to get in a 4-year school because you can't pass. And the people in the guidance department would not recommend her to a 4-year school, and she was furious. I called. She wanted to go to Jackson. Is it Jackson State? Wanda knows. I can't think of it. But I called the director of the school and I told her the whole story. Delma got a 4-year scholarship, and at her graduation, she didn't think she was going to college. And I went with her and her parents, and they announced Delma Wormley 4-year scholarship to
It was to Virginia State University.
Virginia
She
State.
got the 4-year scholarship.
Yeah, yes, yeah. But the Black Student Union handled themselves. There was no hatred towards the white kids. And I had a meeting of my CYO and leaders and all black and the white leaders of Montclair. And our kids poured their heart out about what was going on. And the white kids were on their side. I got a spiel, I don't want to say what it was from, but I got a phone call the next day saying, Father Brady, that meeting that you had, it backfired. The white kids are defending the black kids now. And I said, that's a backfire? Yeah, that's how bad it was.
Okay, so we're going to go back in chronological order a little bit. So we'll go to 1967, the 4th of July parade. You talk about that they wanted to put a float in or do something in the parade. And that's kind of the beginning of the Soul Stompers.
Yeah,
I'm going to say I'm on the committee for the parade the last couple of years. And I can't tell you, every time I mention that I'm involved with the parade, that somebody will say, oh, the Soul Stompers are going to be in it. But not somebody, but many people say to me, oh, and this year we're hoping that they are going to be in it on a float. And I think there's going to be actually regenerated Soul Stompers. I can't remember what they're being called, but hopefully they'll be marching in it. How did that start in 67, I think it was? And whose idea was that?
In 67, I'd like to back up about the Soul Stompers.
Sure, go ahead.
The way they started was while Tip and these guys were sitting in, 3 girls started a fire in a garbage can, wastebasket in the ladies' room. They came to me and said that they're crying. We're kicked out of school. I said, "What'd you do?" They told me. I said, well, "What you did is wrong. So you're going to go back." I was strict. Excuse me. You're going to go back and apologize. You're going to come to me for tutoring every day because you're not in class for 6 months or whatever. And we're going to start a drill team. They said, "What's a drill team?" So explained it to them that there was one in Orange. They marched in all the parades and all, and these kids loved it. So I called Clint up. He got Frank Miles. He was a big, like 6'3" or 4",
George Miles.
great athlete. And George Miles, he ran a lot of my Father Sullivan's teams in Orange, and Clint went to the Board of Education to get the Glenfield School open. It had never been opened before, and they refused. They said, "No, you can't use it." I got in the pulpit and I used the bully pulpit and then said that it's our school, we should be able to use it. And I got a call from somebody on the Board of Education saying you can use the gym. So they opened the gym. Excuse me. They opened the gym. Frank ran this real military drill team that these girls weren't into. And they drove him crazy. And I always said he joined the army because of it. But I said, now I have to get somebody else. They said, no, please don't. We want to run our own drill team. I said, well, then you have to get parents to come in. Parents were great. They had a parents team the whole time that the Soul Stompers were around. But anyway, they started making up their own steps. They went out, they ran a dance. They raised their money by getting dances at car washes and stuff at my church. And that's how they got to be the black Soul Stompers. I mean, now you had black music and dancing, and they won the Eastern Championship the first year they went in it, and the next year they won the girls division of the Eastern Championship, and there were some men won the whole thing. The next year they had drums that were absolutely fantastic. I hope some of those guys are here. And I went to Wanda Wormley. She's here.
Oh yeah.
She's the greatest. We're still good friends. And I went to Wanda. I said, Wanda, march up there, real military like, cut the corners, and kiss one of the judges. And Wanda, just like 7 years old, marched up, got to the table, went around, all cutting the corners, and kissed the judge, and the crowd went wild. And then with that, the drummers started, and they were without a doubt the best drummers in the world. In fact, I was told that by Jackson State military drill team, who were considered the #1 college drill team in the country. The Soul Stompers marched with them at the Orange Bowl, but they told me that they're the best drummers we ever heard. They were that good. And when they started playing the drums, and then Wilhelmina, the captain, said, "Who's the best?" And the girls said, "Soul Stompers." He goes, "Can't hear you. Who's the best?" It's Soul Stompers. And then they started with the drums and the marching, and the whole crowd went wild. And they won the whole thing. They beat this team of kids in their 20s that won every year. They beat them. I can't think of their names, but they were from Patterson.
They were called the ambassadors.
The ambassadors. That's right.
Yes.
Yeah, glad you're here, Wanda.
It's okay, I'm with you.
I hear you.
Then I got a letter from the president of Disney World asking if they could come down and lead the parade down there with Mickey Mouse. And I came out, and they were practicing. I was in my room. Sometimes I open my room just to get away from the noise. But I come out and I said, "We got a problem. We got to raise $2,300. And they're all, "Well, don't worry, we can raise it because it's to lead the parade. It's the second anniversary of Disney World." That's how old these girls are. Here it is.
Great. Wow.
Share
Oh,
sheet.
They attracted such a crowd. Mickey Mouse stopped and watched them up the parade.
You,
Oh, they can see you.
what?
That's great. Okay, well, the Soul Stompers in the minds of anybody that saw them live forever. And hopefully we'll get a good representation at our parade this year.
Connie, can I just say one thing? We
Sure.
cannot forget the drummers.
No,
The drummers were, oh, here it is.
Father
The
Brady,
drummers were
there's the
fantastic.
drummers. He had their names in there. I know Carlos was one later on, I think.
Melvin, yeah,
Go ahead.
Melvin, Kevin Hinton, Bongo himself, and
Yeah.
what people know, Bongo and I started out African drums in
Yeah.
New York, Alatunji, and
That's
also Jimmy, and also Donato. Y'all should remember this. The last time I was in a 4th of July parade, we had a group called Blue and Gold Drum Corps that was run by Jim Bradley and Mr. Page, a police officer, and Mr. Christensen. And like I said, and I think the last time they might have been in there might have been 64. So seeing the Soul Stompers there, it just made it that much better. But we're probably like the first group in there during the late 50s, early 60s. Blue and Gold Drum Corps. There was a brother named Ellis Chavies. I played snare drum, bass drum. So yeah, Soul Stompers were it though. At that time, they came along at the right time and they tore up. No competition. They were the goats.
And
Yeah, they
also,
were.
one of the drummers was Elliott Farms,
Oh yeah,
Melvin Neal. We had Billy, and we had all three of the Hintons, Billy, Keith, and Kevin,
Mhm.
and Bomino, Melvin Neal, I guess that was his nickname.
yeah, Melvin.
Of course, Carlos.
Carlos
yeah.
Warman.
We had an amazing drumming staff. They were amazing.
I just want to say that that music you hear is not from our drummers. Our drummers were much better than that. What happened when I made when I had the tapes made, your timbali player, I can't think of, who's your timbali player, Wanda?
Melvin Neal.
Melvin Neal redid all the drums for the Soul Stompers. And I could never get it put, whoever made the tapes put music on them. And that's what you're hearing.
There was also Reese Sweeney. Don't want to forget Reese
Oh
Sweeney.
yeah, love them.
So if anybody can get that stuff off and get our drummers on there, I would love it. Because they were the greatest.
They were the greatest.
All right, I'm going to leave the Soul Stompers for a minute. I know after them they had the Royal Lears, who also, I guess it was a young troop also, who beat the Soul Stompers, I think, in national
The
competition.
Royal Lears was a junior drill team, little kids.
Yeah.
And
I want to talk, because we only have a few minutes. We can stay on and talk after it, but as far as the program goes, we only have a few minutes. But I want to talk about the Head Start in the classroom issue at Glenfield. That's something I was slightly aware of at the time, but I learned a lot from reading the book.
Yeah,
Don't talk about that.
Don't put me in the cellar.
Father Brady, Charles, you want to talk about that? What happened?
sure. And then remind me to come back to the book because I donated a bunch of books I bought to the
Oh yeah, we'll
historic.
say that at the end.
But I got a call from Clint. I just finished saying mass, and he says, "Father Brady, you got to come down here." He said, "You won't believe what they just did to us."
Them and
In the
say,
summer, they put in all new desks, new lighting, everything new in the Soul Stomper classes. The Soul Stompers, Mitch and everybody tried to get meetings about it, never could.
You're not going to get it.
They took 6 classes, I think it was 5 or 6 classes
Oh,
that
you're
they fixed. And when our kids,
come now.
2, 3, and 4-year-olds got to Glenfield, they put them in the cellar where gas was leaking. There were exposed pipes, and they put our kids in the cellar and bust kids in to use our classrooms. And Audrey Fletcher was fantastic. She was running the Head Start program at the time, and she went to court, lost that. This all happened like in a week because we slept for almost a week in the school down in the cellar. We wouldn't get out, and we marched through town. And again, white people came down and fed us. And again, they went back to the town people and insisted things change. But there was one thing happened that I got blamed for, is that we had a meeting and the school was packed, and the cops let us. The cops were great to us. They let us in. In fact, the little kids gave some cops a hard time. And the next meeting, I said, the cops are there to protect us. And I said, I forget what I said, but the whole place stood up and cheered for the cops. I loved it. But then the second meeting is where we had the problem, is our leaders were not around, and I was there. And I talked, and I could only say so much. These people were ready to march. And I got a message from Mitch saying, we'll be right there, start out with them. So I go, oh man, this is a white face. I don't care how much these people like me. There's people from Newark here that didn't like me. So we're marching up Bloomfield Avenue, and I said, let me get out of here. And I told them, turn left here on Gates Avenue. We turned on Gates Avenue, and where the mayor lived. I didn't know that. And 3 or 4 kids went on the mayor's lawn. The mayor's wife was there, and the mayor wasn't there, but they're shouting, the mayor must go, the mayor must. And Audrey Green came to me and said, you guys get this kid off that lawn. I said, I there. And I ran up to Tip. I said, Tip, you got to get him off the lawn. He screamed at him. They got off the lawn. And then we just turned to the next block and we were back at the school. And Norma Mitchell said to me, Father Brady, what happened? I said, you guys said you were going to come out here. I said, I got a white face. And so I got off Bloomfield Avenue. I didn't know the mayor lived there. And there's people who still don't talk to me because I went on the mayor. In fact, Coretta King sang at Union Baptist Church, and I was a guest backstage, and she invited me to the mayor's house. I went to the mayor's house, nobody talked to me. I went over to get in line to talk to her, and somebody, I don't want to say who it was, came up to me and said, you had your turn. Go sit down someplace. So I did. And I felt bad about what had happened. And Coretta came over to me, and this is at the end, and she said, I have a police car taking me to the airport. Do you want to come with me? And I said, yeah, sure. We must have gotten, I can't think of the name, Big Sergeant, but
McGill.
He was always great to me.
John McGill.
Yeah, John McGill. And he must have been going 80 miles an hour through the side streets because the plane was ready to leave. We got to the airport, went right out onto the runway, and Coretta got out. We said goodbye, and she got in the plane, and I took off. But I always remember that too because I was scared. But this is for my ordination.
So, okay, so that's all I have on me. Do you want to talk about anything else, Charles, that comes to mind before we have some people ask questions?
I think you pretty much got everything. You did a great job. You do have a great memory.
Yeah. Okay, so if anybody wants to unmute themselves and ask any questions or just have a conversation, is that okay, Angelica?
Yeah, go right ahead. Yes.
Okay. So anybody have any questions for Charles or anybody else?
I have something. My name is Kevin McGee, and there was a reference made, and I don't know. Am I on video? I'm not. I'm having
Yes.
tech.
No, we can see, yes.
And can you see this?
Yes.
That is,
Hold it up a little bit more.
I'm sorry?
Hold it up a little bit
Hold it up a
higher.
little
Yeah,
higher.
it's there.
That is the graphic that was used by the Black Student Union that was referenced. John Bloomberg did this, and I've
Fred
saved
Brown?
it since 1968, actually.
Wow.
Just thought I'd share it.
Yeah, I saw that on the internet. They stole it from us because we had it first. And John Blumberg made that for me as a friend. My junior year, I basically was hanging out at the Y, at the Park Street Y, and I almost didn't become a member of the BSU because they thought, I had sold out or whatever the case may be. But John McGill and Lawrence Rainey talked me into joining, and I joined. But John Blumberg, Aaron Meyer, a bunch of guys that I were really close friends with, they told me, go ahead, do your thing. But John made that for me as part of, a declaration for it. At that time, I was close to him. I was close to Dave and Joe Pignatello because we had a group up at the bowling alley. I used to play pool a lot. So we were all close. And that was my junior year. My senior year, I took over, with the BSU. So I was always thankful to those guys. We're still friends even to this day. The Nado you's a little bit older than me, but I was a knucklehead back when I hung out.
I was working my cousins and I were working in the YMCA at the Park Street Y when you would come there every night.
Oh, yeah.
And talk a lot of nonsense, actually, if I remember. But it turns out it wasn't nonsense. It turns out you were pretty smart.
Yeah, but you know what? I was good in ping pong and basketball. There was a guy named Larry Millis, whose father was an indigenous man who always marched in the Orange, New Jersey parade, and he used to ride a horse on there, Old Man Millis, and he was on my basketball team. But I used to play tennis, and I was really good in there. I used to play Wayne Benally, his brother, and a whole bunch of guys. So that was the main thing. Of course, I talked a lot of crap.
Hey, Tim, at our meeting, Donnie talks about when you guys would come up to the Y. He talks about it all the time.
Oh, yeah. Well, you know what? And Jimmy, I got to thank you because you were one of my mentors. I think there's only 3 people I would never want to really have a fight with. It would have been you and Ellsworth Corm. If he's on here, Ellsworth. Always had big respect for him, man. Always had big respect for Ellsworth. And when Rudy
Ellsworth was my first.
Yes, I'm on here.
Hey, he might be here.
Yeah. Ellsworth.
Yes.
Do you remember the time I was riding on a bike with Roger Haley and I was by your house?
Oh, yeah.
Well, I was coming here to steal a bike, but you came out the front door. We used to always ride the South End, and then I would have Roger Haley on the handlebars, and when we saw a bike, he would jump off and get the bike. So I didn't know where Ellsworth lived at that time. So we rolled up, and I was getting ready to go in the yard because his bike was near the front porch. And when he came out the door, hey, Els, what's up, man? And yes, like I said, that was back in the Hollow days.
All I want to say
I got one comment for everybody. Everybody, it's been wonderful listening to Father Brady. Actually, now he wants to be called Charles, which is cool. I have, and Donnie. We went to Immaculate together and then Montclair High School together, and he became a fireman. I became a cop, but listen to everybody who stayed in town. I am so proud of everything everybody did. All my cousins were on the Stompers, and friends still in town. And actually, I'm in Vegas. So if you guys ever come out this way, look me up, Love you all though.
Ellsworth happened to call me 2-3 weeks ago, knew nothing about this, and thanked me and tell me he patterned his life after me with coaching and coached the Seton Hall, and it's just by coincidence, and now he's here. It's great.
And I'm up to the Black Heritage Festival with Jimmy. I'm bringing my grandson Malik with me, so he's never been to New York or New Jersey, so I'm taking him to New York Friday, and Saturday we'll be at the festival. So that's probably the last time I'm going to be able to come up. Like, I'm 73. My knees are the worst in Gerald, Texas. Sitting on the 3.5 hours, 4 hours is, I got all arthritis, bursitis, tendonitis. So, they.
All I want to say is this: looking at this panel, we can talk about the town, but it's the people in the town. I met Charles Brady through Clint Taylor, and everybody knows Clint Taylor is the special. Ellsworth, we coached the Little League football, we coached track, basketball. Just look at the panel. Wanda, I've known your whole family.
Yeah.
I'm probably the older of the group here, going through the high school.
I am.
You guys can't remember when I was in school. We were basically told what to do, and we had to do it. I was so proud of what you guys did. It turned everything around. People in my generation simply said, "God bless you." And I said that to you because I had interviewed all of you guys down at the park house. Greg Taylor,
Augie.
Augie, yes. So it's something special when I'm looking at this panel. It's beautiful. Thank you. Charlie Brady, I love you.
I love you guys, everybody.
And let me tell you, we go to Donnie's house for the 4th of July meeting. Donnie feeds us. Look at this gut. This is Donnie.
Look at my gut. You kidding? Ellsworth, I was skinny when Ellsworth knew me. I was very skinny. Couldn't get any weight.
Ellsworth, was he skinny?
And nobody's ever been skinny. Are you kidding me?
I gotta show you my shirt. My shirt. Can you see it?
Soul
Soul Stompers.
Let's make them. We can sell them this year. Yeah, that's great.
Well, guys, I enjoyed it. Wanda Warmly, I love you, girl. Think I saw Lauren Lewis on there also.
Oh, this has been one amazing event, and I'm so blessed to be a part of it. And Charlie, you have been a major inspiration to my entire family. I met Charlie Brady. I was 6 years old. My sister was one of the original Soul Stompers, and I would follow her everywhere she went. So I'll make this real quick. I followed her to St. Peter Claver, and all the high school students were doing their drills, and I'm on the side, and I'm watching, and I'm trying to follow and follow. So at the time, former Father Brady comes to me and says, "Wanda, would you like to be a mascot?" Me, 6 years old, not knowing what a mascot is. Sure, I'll be a mascot. Next thing you know, I'm in the front of this whole entire drill team with a sword in my hand, a nice hat, big pom-poms on my boots, and marching to the 4th of July parade. And the rest is history. And I thank you from the bottom of my heart. You have been a fantastic friend, mentor, and it's just an amazing community. And I wouldn't want to grow up anywhere else other than Montclair.
All right.
Thank you.
We love you.
And Lauren Lewis, and also Tip, he was the first person to teach Carlos how to do karate.
Yeah. And I'm still teaching karate now at 73.
Wow,
I see it on your Facebook. But before I forget, Father Brady is generously donating 30 of his books to the Montclair History Center. There was a link for the Amazon, but he prefers that you buy them through us. I don't know how you want to handle that.
Won't pay you, so.
We'll have them in our store or also up online. So just go to the History Center website is the easiest thing.
Okay.
Are they going to be signed copies?
Oh, Charles, could you sign them for us before we come pick them up?
Yeah, I want to send them to you. But what second you could do is take orders for them and tell me, and then I can sign them and put a note to each person.
Sure, absolutely.
And then you keep the money from them.
Well, thank you. That's very generous of you. Thank you, Charles.
Yeah. Any other questions? Anybody want to say something?
Yeah, when you were for the BSU, I seriously like that one day, that walkout was probably the most intense day that I ever lived in my entire life. I got threatened. Matter of fact, like I said, I got threatened by Tony Imperiale at that point, and a couple other radical groups. When we had it, and even people in Montclair who said their daughters or whatever got hurt, this and that. There was a lot of false information passed out. Some girls supposed to have been raped and this, that, and that, which never occurred. We had a peaceful demonstration outside. We sent money to Murphy's. Murphy's made over 500 turkey and cheese sandwiches for that day.
Wow.
So Jesus fed 400 and 500, and Tim fed 500 at at the amphitheater in Montclair High School. So, you know, that should be history. That definitely should be right there in the historical part right there. Because I read something before, and they had like one line in there about about our demonstration. That was it. So, you know, I just like to get the record clear, and other guys like Atari and them, like, they deserve the credit just as well. We're uniformed. Buster Stories was part of that group. So, you know, we like I said, we did a tremendous job, and we got a lot of things done afterwards. And you know, and we made an imprint. And even to this day, we've never been honored in a parade or anything. I'm talking about the Black Student Union. And many of the people who were against us had parades, you know, they were, you know, head of the parades for the Black Heritage, stuff like that. And I had no problem with that once they let Murphy on. Once they did Murphy, I felt good, because Murphy was the backbone and our safe sanctuary when we were going to that. And to make it straight, I love Calabrese, and Calabrese was always good to me. But when Murphy started, then we went down the street to support Murphy, and it wasn't anything against Calabrese because he already was established, you know, and I never had an issue with going to Calabrese. And when I played football my freshman year, I was going in there, and he used to give me credit also, which a lot of people don't realize he did that. So Calabrese was cool, but Murphy was our safe sanction. We could be in there, you have an afro, this, that, and that. And if you didn't have money, Murphy would give you a turkey and cheese sandwich, and you could pay him later. And I'm quite sure there's a lot of people who went through that same dilemma. So that's all. But I'm enjoying.
What happened to the afro?
What happened to what?
What happened to your afro?
Oh, listen, man. You know what? I'm gonna get you. You know why? You know what happened to my afro? It moved up my back. It moved up my nose. It's still here, just different parts of my body.
I just want to make a comment. He mentioned Buster Stories, and DeForest Buster Stories. He's tell us who he is. And he was, I guess, the state. What was he at the state?
He was in this, I think, the State Department. I forgot what it was, but
he was the Secretary of State at one point.
Yes.
Yeah.
He was your class president, I guess, that year, wasn't he?
Yeah, class president. Yes. Yeah, we had a big demonstration because he ran against Warren Littlefield, and it's probably the only thing Warren Littlefield ever lost in his life. And they cheated, and we had a recall, and Buster won, and that's how Warren Littlefield got moved out, and Buster got moved in.
And Warren Littlefield was the head of CBS,
NBC.
NBC. I'm sorry, and the family owned Applegates too.
Right, and tell them to get me in the movie.
You're already in the movies. I see your pictures in the movie. All right, anybody else with anything?
Donato, there's one comment that came through, Charles, in the chat for you. If you could comment on your experience with the civil rights movement in relation to your Catholic vocation. Did you feel supported by some in leadership, or consistently prejudiced, or, you know, what's your thoughts about that?
I had a great pastor. He drove a huge Lincoln Continental. He belonged to 3 golf clubs. He loved his Black parishioners and loved the kids, but he didn't understand the civil rights movement, but never once stopped me. The only thing he ever said to me was, I came home to take a shower from sleeping in Glenfield School. And he looked up and he said, I hope you know what you're doing. That was the most of any problem I had. Oh, the mayor and police director of Newark went to my bishop and demanded that I be silenced and punished and kicked out of Orange and Montclair, but the problem was in Orange. The 2 towns are so different. Orange was so corrupt, and Montclair really wasn't. It was prejudice. But anyway, they went and demanded I be silenced and punished. And he called me. I said, wait, I don't want to talk to you on the phone. I want to come in and talk to you. Came in, I went through everything that we went through. I had trucks try to run me over. I had a guy in the woods taken out of the woods by the church with a shotgun. Several things. And I told the bishop all this. And when we were done, he shocked me because he was like 85 years old and very conservative. He said, Oh, I said that in the pulpit. I said that we have like 4 Catholic schools around here, and we have Catholic high schools, and that's where a lot of our kids are going. At the end, he said, just be careful what you say about the Catholic schools, but go back and keep doing what you're doing because it's great. So I got permission to keep doing what I was doing from the bishop. So I didn't have a problem at all. That's a good question.
Somebody wants to make a comment?
Yes, I wanted to say that I met Father Brady this year just through email and conversations, and I really enjoyed this is Jamina. I really enjoyed this this presentation and this honor day to honor him. It was really nice. I just wanted to say that, and thank you, Father Brady, for all of your kindness toward me. I really appreciated it.
Jamina, what is your group going to be called?
The Soulette Stompers.
Oh, okay, great. Good luck with that.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
I think it's great. I'm going to be at the Montclair parade. I'd like to come up to see them practice, but I just gave up my car. I can't walk and I can't drive.
Well, we invited Charles to ride in our parade with the Soul Stompers on the float. Hopefully, we can get it. We'll
great. I'd love to
that'll
see
be great
it.
for us this year. So
love to see it.
Okay, anybody else? Anything else? If not, thank you very much. Thanks, Charles. This was great.
Thank you, Charles. I'm going to put in the chat for anyone who wants to reach out to the History Center about signed copies of books. I know someone sent me a message as well to connect to get perhaps Charles gets you to sign one they already have. So I'm going to put some links. We also record this. It'll go up on our YouTube channel. So once it's available, that can be shared with anyone to watch tonight if they didn't get to join in. And then you can just find the YouTube channel right on our homepage of our website to get to there. So thank you, everyone. Charles, it was really great hearing your memories and everyone who joined in.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody. Have a good night.
Thank you. It was great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The
Wonderful
African
job.
American Heritage Parade and Festival is June 3rd, and our July 4th parade is on July 4th.
Yep.
Hope to see you there. Okay.
Yep. And our next History at Home is actually on the History of Trinity Church. So come out to that on YouTube. I'm not on YouTube. I'm sorry, on Zoom, June 15th, if you want to join that as well. So thank you, Charles.
Well, thank you.
Everybody
Thank
stay
you.
safe.
Lauren, thank you.
Thank you. Love you, Father Brady. Love
Hi,
Charles.
Lauren Lewis.
Hey, Wonder Woman.
That's my friend for over 60 years. We ran track together at 6 years old.
6 years old.
And they won like 13 years in a row, the county championship. And one year, the girls won every medal, gold medal, but one, and the boys won every gold medal.
Now I can't even run up the street.
The greatest track team was awesome.
Track team, yes, definitely track team. Well, it was nice meeting everyone, and enjoy the rest of the weekend.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Somebody asked you if you still stand on your head like your dad did.
Bye, Matt.
Cuz beats.
I don't stand on my head anymore.
Wanda, it was great to see you.
Good to see you too. Hope to see you soon.
Yeah, come on up.
All right, Matt.
Yeah, you gotta come
Have some
crabbing.
crabs. Go crabbing. All right. Have a good day.
Great.
Ready?
Is Weta on? Weta.
Weta, are you here?
Weta's multitasking.
She was here.
She's always multitasking.
She's listening, but she's working, so she's getting ready for the parade or so.
Oh, okay. Great.
All right.
She's done a lot for me.
Hi, Uncle. Uncle Jimmy.
Yeah, baby. How you doing, love?
How are you?
Okay.
All right. You'll have a good evening.
Hi, huh?
Hey, I'm here, guys.
Hi,
I'm
Weta.
here.
Oh, there she is.
How you doing, Weta? Thanks for your
Hi.
help.
I wanted to chime in, but I was trying to get this list together for our parade lineup.
Yeah. Don't forget I'm coming.
You're coming to the Montclair African American Heritage Parade?
I doubt I'll come to that. I don't know. When is
Okay.
it?
That's next, not this Saturday, the following Saturday, June
If I
3rd.
can get one of my sons to drive me, I'll come.
Okay.
It's a
All
parade.
right.
It's a parade this year.
Yeah, we're gonna have a parade. We're crossing our fingers because we're trying to go through this list to see who's coming. People are bowing out, and yeah. But the festival is gonna be fantastic.
Can I be in a wheelchair?
Sure, but wait a minute. Where's Sarah?
Sarah the Walker.
Oh, she named my Walker from the Bible.
You stumped him.
Oh, come on, Charlie, come on. Yeah.
We charge the June 10th.
Angelica, I can sign off if you want.
Oh, good. I'm enjoying listening to everybody.
But, Charlie Brady, I just want to say thank you for all that you have done, and Father Sullivan as well. You guys have been a real intricate part of our lives growing up. You know, I'm 67 years old now, but when I was 13, 14, you were a very, very important part of my life. So I thank you.
Yes.
I will never forget you.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Where did the time go? Where did that time go?
Where did it go?
I'll tell you.
Not kidding.
Yeah. But anyway, everybody have a good night.
You too.
I'm glad that this took place. And Angelica, thank you. I met you over the
Thank you,
phone.
Angelica.
Yes, nice to meet
And
you.
thank you, Donnie.
We talk.
Yes.
Am I still working the first serial, or do they have somebody?
No, you're working the first serial. You're
Okay.
working the first serial.
Are you walking?
They have to be there what time? 9?
Not letting them go.
9 o'clock.
Okay, thank you.
Are you walking, Donato?
I'm working to see
Are you
that.
walking?
I'm walking, I don't know. I'm gonna be riding with you.
All right, guys. Have a good night.
Okay, bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.